All right, so after the day we were here and you all wanted some more information, I believe you got it all. So we are here now just to see if there's any more questions you want to answer or any discussion.
I had a meeting with the trustee the other night. I did ask for a copy of the set of bylaws. I don't know if he's asked you for them yet or not. Okay, could you give me a set of bylaws?
For the department or the district?
Do what?
For the department or the district? They're two separate items.
No, the fire department.
Okay.
Okay. The second thing of it is, the way we understand it, we have to have 3 public meetings. We're in the process now of trying to get that set up.
Should be for a fire district.
For what?
For a fire territory, there's 3 public meetings. But for a fire district, there shouldn't be.
According to the information I've got, we have to set up 3 public meetings.
Can you give me that? Can you have a code that states that?
I can print you off a copy of it here.
Yeah. That'll be new in the last few months, which, I mean, I know there was a change on fire territories. I didn't see one on fire districts.
I think you're right, it is fire territory.
Yeah. Fire territories have their process to be approved in the fire district.
We were just, I haven't had a chance to research this, so I just got this off on me this morning, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Which one's required, at least one is required, we know that, so.
Well, it could be this one. I mean, actually, it could be last month or the one we were before. It would, so the fire district, you have a petition brought in, it comes to commissioners. The commissioners hold that hearing, like the last one we were at was in July. That can be your hearing or you can sign it that same day. You could sign it today. I mean, I'm not trying to push you into it, but
No,
there's not, you don't have not have to schedule no if you don't want to, but you can.
I've had a lot of calls about this.
Yeah.
People who are in opposition of the fire district. Number one, I don't know what the tax rate's going to go to. I don't know that people were informed that their taxes will go up. And that's one of the questions I've been asked. How much more is this going to cost me? It's based on the assessed valuation of it. And your assessed valuation, I don't have it here right now. You're going to be someplace between Blue River and Brown Burn. And on my understanding, the trustee owns 3 trucks, you own the fire department. That's the way it was set up back under Chet Hobbs, back when the building was, the first fire department was done back in the 50s. I think 57 is when it was started. The only reason I know that, my dad started it. And now the question is, how much are my taxes going to go up? And this is a complaint I've been getting. And most people said they didn't think about it. Some people said they signed the petition and they wish they hadn't. Now, in all fairness, and I think our best thing is to set up a public meeting. I'm not opposed to the fire district. I wanted one for a long time. But then when it come down to it, it wasn't. Some of the things I've seen on the request, I'm going to speak out of turn here, but some of the things I see, I'm upset as a citizen of Jackson Township, the way the building has let it run down. And then I see you're wanting to build a substation, which never did make sense to me. I understand most of the wrecks happened on Shanks Road. That's what we was when we was in the fire department. But then on the other hand, I look at the manpower you've got, and Jackson Township's always had this problem with manpower, and it's got worse, and God commend you for what you've done. I'm not taking that away from you. But I don't want to wholeheartedly throw everything away either. This is hard-earned money, everybody's getting. But I want to be fair on both sides, to you and the citizens, to what we do. And I've said my piece. I just want to be fair about it.
So the building, Philip, that it's been that way for 20 years.
No, it hasn't. But we give you $15,000 out of the ARP money. And I disagree with some of the things you've done with the money. We always put the fire protection to provide the best possible thing we could. We had fundraisers to raise money. I haven't seen nothing done. I see a ditch, 2 ditches in front of the firehouse every day when I go by.
Yeah, every time it rains,
All you gotta do is grade it on top.
We just had that done. Not too long ago, we even put in a trough to keep water from flowing into our building. Dylan Sullivan did that for
The
us.
ground on top could be graded back.
Yeah, that also costs money, Philip.
I agree.
And we don't have that. It was gonna cost
So
20,
you're driving your trucks across the ditch, and you keep filling it in, but it keeps washing out. You fix the problem, okay? I'm not gonna do teach and education here, but, and if I get the backhoe up there, if you don't care, I'd like to go ahead and cut a ditch across there, or a ravine to where you can come out, and I will take care of that, if you don't care.
yeah, we accept all help. I mean, it's not something that we turn away.
We used to mow the yard, you're hard to mark yard mowed now. I've heard something about trucks being run, and my understanding, you've got 5 trucks that's not running. The trustee, how many trucks do you have?
We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trucks.
9 trucks.
Yes, and every single one runs. Every single one is an operation.
Well, the trustee told me the other night you had 3, you was using the township trustee trucks.
Yeah, it depends on the situation of the call, which truck we run. Not every truck runs on every call. So it depends on the run that is being called out. So if it's a fire, then we're using fire engines and our tankers. If it's a med run, we're using med vehicles and so on and so forth. So not all vehicles are ran at the same time, or there may be a time frame that it's not being used, but every one is in service, working. They just
All
got
trucks do run.
Yeah, they just got pump tested, and the pumps just got serviced this week.
There's that ordinance doing it.
Code for me.
Yeah.
And we had taken and gotten bids to try to redo the firehouse. You said that's in disarray, and it is, because it's been, over the course of time, it's gonna cost us over $20,000. It costs us about $22,000 to $25,000 to remodel the building. We don't have that. It cost us $2,500 out of our budget to paint it, so that way we could keep down on what rust was happening. You know, like you said, it's a 57 building that's not, you know, and the funds have not been there to replenish it. We spent $8,000 out of our money that went to other equipment that went towards our other building because it leaked to repair the roof. I mean, so we do what we can. We gave you an itemized budget of what we spend out. Of what we get of that, we're talking dollars of what we get at the end of the year, and that's Rob and Peter to pay Paul, and not being NFPA compliant through and through to be able to afford the things that we're supposed to be able to afford as a fire department. We have to follow NFPA standards and compliances and OSHA standards, just like City of Salem, any other paid department. We're not exempt. NFPA says I have to change the tires on my truck every 7 years, whether they're good or bad. That's an NFPA compliant. If my truck goes and it gets wrecked, and they come back with that date code and see that we're 10 years without replacing that, I'm liable. But I can't afford to replace all those tires on my apparatus, because that's thousands upon thousands of dollars that we don't have.
So, do you have any idea?
Which fire district will bring you in money?
So that's where we're doing analysis, and we're trying to see where it would put us at a better state. That's why we're going fire district. That's why we were trying to establish this, that way we could have the available funds to be able to meet compliances and be up to a standard that doesn't hold us liable, or as liable.
To change the
ISO rating.
Yes.
If you was to change the ISO rating to get the rating itself,
Mm-hmm.
number one, you gotta have a fully staffed fire department.
It's not true. That's not true. You don't have to have a full staff.
Well, this is just like what I'm saying with the public hearing. And that's why we want more information, so that we do the legitimate thing right.
Yes, sir. And we gave that, and every door to door that we went to, they were given the same information that you guys were given. They were given the abilities of asking questions. They were all answered truthfully. And we gave them the plan in which we were looking to pursue this with. And we told them that it would increase the tax, even going to a fire district, increases your tax from a rate that from a trustee to a district. So it was an increase anyways. And a lot of them wanted us to be 24/7. A lot of people in the township wanted us to be 24/7. Told them we couldn't do that. It would put too much of a tax rate that they couldn't afford. We wasn't going to do that to them. We want to be at a rate that gives us the ability to grow with the times of modern fire, because costings are going up. I mean, to buy a fire truck today, if you want to spec a fire truck, a Pierce fire truck is going to cost you $800,000. And it's going to be 3 years to get it. You know, we can't afford that. We can't afford it. You know, we just spent, you know, almost $5,000 on a control module that operates our pump. So we had to spend it. So that came out of our budget, so therefore we had to take and not be able to do other things. And that was a truck that the department owned. That wasn't even a township truck. So that came out of our operating budget, $4,000.
How much did you get from the truck?
See now,
42?
42.
Yeah. 20 of that goes to our insurance.
I didn't know what they was getting now.
Yeah, about $20,000 of that. So we're looking at about $22,000, and that's to keep all trucks in service going, our equipment maintained, on our station, you know, upkeeps with that. You know, we took out a loan, a business loan a long time ago, just to put new garage doors. And we paid on that. We're gonna sit on that for 20 years.
Trust me, I know.
You know, so it's one of those things where we're trying to do the betterment for the township. Yes, it's gonna raise the tax, but we're not looking at it as us trying to get rich and to try to, you know, make money off of it. We're trying to do what's right to be able to put things forth to better the service for the community. And we've done that. You know, we have dedicated people that are there that make the runs and stuff like that. And we're looking for that financial stability to be able to make sure that we've got updated and working equipment and not have to rely on a fundraiser. You know, we shouldn't have to rely on a fundraiser. That should be because we want to do something for the community, not to, like it used to be in the past where we had to have our fish fry. You know, we got $26,000 and our operating budget when we gave it to our township trustee at that point in time was 30. And so we said, hey, we have to make at least $5,000 to stay afloat, to be able to keep the doors open and pay our insurance. And we went to the trustee and said, hey, can you bump us to X and Y, 30, and we'll be able to have $5,000 extra, this and the other back, you know, almost 20 years ago, and, you know, that didn't happen. So we had to rely on a fish fry. We had to rely on those things. You know, now we're scraping by, and, you know, with lack of membership, you know, it's hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard to get those fundraisers.
How many members do you have?
We have 10.
10? 10?
10 members. 10 members that are certified and qualified more than any department in this county.
Well, my suggestion right now is let us go ahead and have this public hearing. And we'll have it there at Martinsburg. And throw it out there and kind of go from that. That's where I'm at.
That sounds good. I do have one question. Why do you have 9 trucks?
Because it was set to where we could expand in the future. That's the reason why we got it. Because we want to build a substation out on 135 for those residents that are out there. It takes us almost 10 to 12 minutes to get out there from the time we leave our station. So, and we lose membership out on 135 because they go to Palmyra. Because it's quicker for them to go to Palmyra than it is to come to Martinsburg, get a truck and go out, so they'll respond to Palmyra versus
Here's one thing I don't understand, and I don't know all the details. I don't live in Jackson Township. But you sent us, or you provided us with some photographs of the building and the state of disrepair it was in. And I can't understand why in the world somebody would even consider building a substation when the current main building you have is so dilapidated and in such a state of disrepair. And really, I guess what's upsetting to me, and once again, I don't live down there and I don't mean to be critical of what you do, but some of these things in these photographs wouldn't take a lot of money to fix. It would just take time. And used to, and I know things have changed, you had a lot of people in the community that would volunteer to do these things, but just like the one in particular that I recall in the picture, is a downspout. You know, that's an easy fix. So I can't understand why in the world anybody would let the building get in such a bad shape, and then in the next breath, you're talking about building a new building somewhere else. And my understanding is that the current building, that the roof leaks terribly bad on the fire trucks. You got 9 fire trucks, and every time it rains, there's water coming in the building?
So there are some spots, yes.
Okay.
But even to repair that roof, even to seal coat it, is $5,000.
Okay, so that's fine. Why would you even think about building another station when the roof of the current building leaks? To me, this just doesn't make sense at all.
Because it was given to you in a financial plan of establishment. So getting our building up to par would be first and foremost, and then building the substation. So making sure that our building is fully, remetaled, downspouts, roof doesn't leak, all this, that, and the other would be that. And then we would tie into the future plan of building another station. And I know a lot of people in the community on the other side of 135 are, that's stuff that they really want. Because a lot of them look to only want to deal with Palmyra because they're closer. So for us to have that response time, and so that's the goal for future endeavors, is to put a building out there. Not to say that we would automatically build that first station and leave our building in complete disarray. We would financially and responsibly put ourselves in a position to be able to grow. And that's what the fire district's for, is for us to grow. And that would put us the ability of building a substation out at the other end once we got everything up to snuff and par with our current situation.
So you have rough numbers or an idea, is your population out there on that one end that you're wanting to put the substation, is it grown quite a bit, or population of the township changing and fluctuating? Are they moving, building more in one area, or how's that increased over the past 10, 15 years?
So it deals with response times and ISO ratings. So those people we wouldn't be able to give them a lower fire rating because of our response time from Martinsburg to there. So that was one of the situations for us to solve that, would be to put apparatus and be able to get membership out there that would give us a quicker response time to help them with their emergencies and help with that ISO as a full township.
Yeah. That's your name?
Me?
Yeah.
Ruben?
Ruben?
Yep.
And you're with the
GFC, Montgomery. GFC.
GFC?
Yeah.
What is that?
Local government financial and budgeting consultant.
Okay.
Easily explained. We do software as well. To answer your question about figures, I mean, if we're talking, a number that's bounced around some, let's pretend we're starting at $200,000 budget, right? The certified NSS values are now done for the county. The AV down there is like 84 point something million dollars. That is roughly a 10.8 cent tax rate, 0.108-ish. And that number's not necessarily done. That's just kind of what we start at a figure to talk about. On a $200,000 homestead, it is, I left my glasses back here, sorry, $106 a year, $8 a month, $9 a month.
Our homestead.
Our homestead.
What's a farm?
Well,
100-acre farm.
well, I mean, it'd be $400-ish, nice.
Or 100-acre farm, that's about $200.
$200.
200 every 6 months.
No,
That's a year.
that's a year.
Okay.
I was looking for the years or months. I mean, I'll give you an answer in either one, about 6 months.
Well, my trouble was what you said, and we both know, was rising cost today. It is crucial that you get something done as fast as you can, because your prices are going to go up. Your $5,000 roof, I don't know how you're getting a $5,000 roof on that roof.
Not anymore.
No, you won't.
No, that was just a seal coat.
Yeah.
That was just for us to do it, get the material,
Yeah.
and do it ourselves.
Yeah.
because I painted the other building at our station myself, took me 4 days to do, cost the department almost $500 to do it.
I think Todd Smith done it the time before.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So we try to do things to, limit our costs because of that, but, that comes with time frames and people's availabilities and this and the other. So, I mean, we're trying to do everything we can as volunteers, and we're asking for help outside for people to come in. Like I said, Dylan Sullivan came in with his own excavator and his own money, his own fuel, all this and the other, and regraded a new drainage ditch for us so it would stay away from the building. I mean, so we're getting all those things, and we're seeking help. So it's not like we're just saying that, we're not trying to do the best possible and we're just wanting money.
Who's mowing the yard?
So it's a collective of us. Sometimes I do it, sometimes another gentleman does it, so there's a couple of us that do it. It depends on time frame and when we get and our busy life schedules as well.
Well, as of the way it stands now, we can set up a public hearing. We'll have it there at Martinsburg, and it'll be advertised, and that's where we need to go to.
Will you all handle the advertisement?
Do what?
You'll handle the advertisement? The county will?
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, I was making sure we didn't want us to advertise it, you guys. It's what-
Yeah, so everybody's going,
Okay.
both sides, everybody's welcome, there's no problem. I just want the honest answers. I want to know facts, exactly what it's going to cost me. And the tax-
You can get your answers right here. I mean, the public won't have them. I mean, I have the facts.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the problem is, you talk, it sounds bad when I say this, but the public likes to say things. But between us sitting right here are the facts. So you hear stuff, and people are telling you stuff, but they don't.
Are you paying all the taxes for
Do what?
these? Are you paying all the taxes for these people?
No, but I can assure you,
And
this was not full of my tax bill, so.
And they deserve to be heard.
I'm not arguing that at all. I'm not arguing that at all.
Yeah.
When you say fact, you just said, it kind of offended me when you said, we deserve to get the facts.
Yeah.
We're giving you the facts.
Okay.
So,
But your facts don't match with the auditor's facts downstairs. That's where I've got different numbers
of what?
of the numbers. And
What-
based on,
what number-
am I in
what number-
agreement that the state sets the tax rate for Jackson Township based on the assessed evaluation?
They set the tax rate based on the levy divided by the assessed valuation.
Right.
The assessed valuation was just certified at $84 million.
So can you tell me exactly what you're going to get out of the fire district? How much money are you going to get from Jackson Township based on the rate today?
But you're talking about,
How much are you going to get out of the fire district?
that would determine the levy that the board would appeal for when the board is set. We're kind of out of order here. I mean, we can talk in generalities right now, but because there's no board in place, nobody sat down and said, hey, this is what budget we want to set up. So then when that happens, we say, okay, this is kind of our goal, all right? Then you send information to the state, to the DLGF. The DLGF reads through it and agrees, yeah, we will give you that levy. Whatever that levy comes back is how much will come in.
Hey,
The 10-cent tax rate, that is 10.8 cents, whatever it is,
how much?
10.8 cents, I just mentioned a few minutes ago.
That's the number I haven't heard. I've heard 5.61, but I haven't heard 10.
The 10 is our theoretical number that we're using as a target. I mean, this is as a starting point of discussion of figures. The current tax rate down there is, I've got it here somewhere if I can read it. What's the number right? Current there. No, sorry. I can get my glasses off. I'm with you. We're talking about a 10-cent tax increase. Is what I'm talking about, 10 cents, right?
Yeah.
Increase over the current rate, because the cube fire rate will stay 0333. Because they have it now at 0333. Ideally, you guys would approve a new one at 0333, because it has to be redone because it's a new district. So that's neutral. You have the current fire tax rate, which is about 5 cents, I believe, 5.5 cents-ish. That would go away, because the levy would be taken off of the township trustee. And then the fire district levy will be put in place. Well, the fire district levy covers the entire township, just replaced it, and it goes to about 15 cents, I believe, which is a 10-cent increase.
Out here throwing numbers at me, I haven't heard.
Well, because these numbers don't exist in real life. They're just for discussion purposes right now. Everything we're talking about, fire district, these numbers don't exist because there's no board, so there's nothing concrete.
You know, there's never been an established amount of monies for our budget of what everything's been theoretical. Because we haven't been able to get, because people want numbers, right, but we can't give them numbers because we haven't established anything. We didn't want to put the cart before the horse.
So in that process, we have to make a number and say, this is the area we're thinking about.
So it could be less than that 200. It could be 120. It could be our theoretical. Once we sit down and do a budget and get numbers and this and that, 200 was thrown out there by Brian O'Connell at our public meeting that we had a long time ago. He was the one that suggested that the fire department, from him being retired fire, suggested that the department should look to be at about a $200,000 budget. And so that's where we kind of went with this, to give people the highest possible figures, like worst case, hey, this is what we're looking at. So that's where that number can come from, but it's never been an established, hey, this is what our actual physical, this is what we're going to do, because we haven't got there. Because to get there, we have to get through here for you guys to approve us to be a fire district. And then once you approve us as a fire district, then we can sit down with our board members and so on and so forth, and hash out what is actually feasible. Because we're not trying to put a tax rate on somebody that is going to put them in the burden. It's not what we're trying to do. And that was expressed door to door that I went to every individual that I talked to, over 500 people, because I did predominantly most of the signature gathering. And it was explained to them, every information that you guys have been received is exactly the way I gave it to them. This is our plan, this is what we're looking to do, this is what we're trying to get to. Theoretically, we'd like to be here for this reason. And so they were given that information. But if we can't feed to that dollar amount, and it has to be at a different amount, then that's what we're going to be at. So it's not that, I know that last meeting, that's what we were fixed on. We were fixed on the 200,000 and stuff like that. That's just a theoretical number that we'd like to be at if possible. If it's not possible, because it's going to put so much of a financial burden upon constituents within the township, that's not what we're looking to do. We're looking to do to where we can function as a fire department, be compliant with the standards financially, and have the ability to grow with the changing times of fire, of the fire service. That's what we're looking to do.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you've said.
Yeah.
And I commend you, like I said before, anybody volunteers their services deserves it. I know what you went through. It's easier to lay in bed at night when the fire truck goes by than to get out in the cold and fight a fire. So I'm not wanting to stop you, but I don't want to based on what information, and I don't have all the information right now that I want, okay? And right now, I'm not ready to move this way, but I am ready for a public hearing to hear more about what the people's questions are and what it is, so what the end result is, everybody isn't upset. And I know there's always going to be some that don't want to pay their taxes. We both know that. I mean, it's human nature. But at the same time, I don't have enough information to give you a definite answer, me personally, today. I don't know if anybody else does or not. But discussing with the lawyers, why don't we throw this in his lap? And he's got questions. I've got questions. I've got to answer to the people the other day that want to know why their taxes are going up and what this fire district they're talking about. And we've talked back when Harrison County first got the boat, the fire district come in down in Harrison County, and the money went crazy down there. They bought all kinds of trucks. They had dry hydrants, and they established it because water was a problem in a rural community. But right now, we're not to that point yet. So my answer today is, let us do some more work on our part to where we can come back to you. But it will take a public hearing for me to get these answers, me personally.
How much time are you gonna need, because
We're gonna base-
here 2 months ago.
We're gonna base everything right away on a public hearing.
Okay,
But my understanding, we have to have 3 public hearings.
you don't, that's not the case at all.
I trust this man.
He agreed with me already.
And if he told me that, it'd be a different story,
He already agreed with me.
Well, we know we've gotta have one.
okay?
We can agree on that. We've gotta have one, and it needs to be in Martinsburg.
And if we can understand with a public meeting that you're more than likely not gonna get the 500 and plus people that did sign petitions there. So I just wanna make it understandable.
No, I know that.
That if you get because there was people that I went door to door to that did tell me no, and it was totally within their right, and so on and so forth. And, you know, there was people that are gonna come to the meeting, and there's still gonna be those same naysayers, but the fact that we went out and got the 500 plus signatures should speak that the community as a whole.
It doesn't matter if the people who come all said no. I've got signatures back there that you got out and gathered up that said yes. I do have some that signed that said they wish they hadn't. But at this point, I think it's all fair as a government to give everybody the speaking terms they need and let their vote be heard. And it'll be done in a civil way. And I don't know, can we use the firehouse?
Who can?
I mean, pull the trucks out, you still got the chairs?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. I mean, is that okay with you?
Yeah, we just let me know when it's going to be, because it'll be based. Yeah, I mean, because of my schedule and stuff like that. You know, I work 24-hour shifts, so.
We'll be working with it. Then we'll just advertise for our public meeting in Jackson Township Fire Department.
Okay.
Okay?
Is there any information that we?
I would like to have a set of those bylaws.
Okay.
I've got one question.
Yes,
You
sir.
say you're a consultant? Are you being paid to do this?
I don't get paid unless they have a fire district.
Okay.
So all the work I've done so far, I may not get paid for it if you guys say no. So I'm not getting paid by the hour, I get paid by the job.
That answers my question, thank you.
I'm not here just to raise money out of the county.
That wasn't my.
I know, I work different than a lot of consultants do. You guys have front one costs, and like all my business, I do that. I mean, I give you a number, and that's the number per year, and some years I win, and some years I lose in those contracts. So I think it's a lot easier to both parties if you just have the number up front. That's how I operate with all my fire districts.
Okay.
Joe, if you can say like what you're still wanting, well, we can get more information together for you. I don't know what else you want to have.
Right now, I want a public hearing for the taxpayers of Jackson Township, and I would like to have a set of your bylaws.
Yeah, that's what you said there's some information you didn't have, so I want to make sure you had everything you want.
Through the auditor's office, I think I've got a rough estimate of Blue River's Fire Department, Fire District, and also Brown Vernon's, and you're gonna fall someplace in between, which is gonna give me a rate pretty well what you are. It's gonna definitely be more than what you're getting now, but my question is, like Todd said, right now, do you really need 9 trucks when you got a roof leaking?
That doesn't really affect the budget of the roof. They've already had the trucks.
I know that.
We understand that.
And most of, and like I said, the newest ones we have was paid for by the township trustee. So the department hasn't purchased any.
Do you own the building?
We own
those 3 trucks.
The
Jackson Township has always been owned by the fireman itself. At one time, I was
yeah,
part
still
owner.
does. Yeah,
And that's the way it was set up under Jed Hobbs.
yeah. Like I said, so 3 of the newest trucks was purchased by the township trustee. And so we as a department haven't spent any money on buying trucks. So that's been through the township trustee, and we were trying to update as well, because all our trucks are old as well too. So
One thing I do want to do, I feel like the discussion is been a lot about the fire department rather than the fire district. They are 2 different entities. The fire district is a local government entity rather than a private business, which a fire department technically is, right? So what's really great is a legal entity that will run fire, like the trustee does right now. It takes that duty off the trustee, and it provides another layer of government that makes the decisions on fire. So at that point, then it's up to them to stay satisfied with what the fire department does. If they don't think they're doing their job, they either tell them they're not doing their job, or, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad here, but they can say, hey, listen, you're not going to cover our township anymore, we're going to find somebody else to do it. So you're also building a layer that's going to be able to control that stuff a little bit more than we're talking about.
But we know in Jackson Township that ain't gonna happen.
So depending on the board members you appoint them.
Well, the board itself will be appointed by the commissioners.
Yeah,
And at that point, it'll be up to the board to do that.
right. So
As far as the fire department, trustee, he has the contractual with you to provide members to fight fires for the protection of Jackson Township based on his rate. That's what his obligation is. Your obligation is to provide manpower. That's yours.
Yeah, to provide fire protection. Yeah.
Right. So at that point, we will get back to you on when the public hearing is. You're okay with Jackson Township, where we advertise, we'll have a public hearing, and drag some chairs out and go from there. Okay? Thank you.
Yep. Is that good?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Where's your county tobacco prevention? That's you? Come forward. Maggie, drag a chair around there. But you don't talk loud. You did notice I said Maggie?
I did.
President. How are you today?
Yep, thanks.
Well, good morning,
Good morning.
and thank you for allowing us to be a part of your meeting this morning. My name is Rhonda Mills, and I coordinate the Washington County Tobacco Prevention and Cessation Coalition for this area, and our lead agency is Hoosier Hills Pact. So joining me this morning as a part of a thank you to the commissioners is Tammy Worley, and of course you know Maggie. Tammy, you can introduce yourself.
I'm Tammy Worley. I work at Ascension St. Vincent Hospital as a social worker and health advocate.
I'm with Maggie with the health department. You know Maggie so well. But on behalf of our coalition, which we have been providing services to Washington County since 2001, when the state started providing tobacco prevention and cessation and community partners. And now that comes from the State Department of Health Tobacco Prevention and Cessation Commission. But anyway, we wanted to thank you for taking the time to study and work with Maggie and the decision to opt in on the additional public health funding as a component of Health First Indiana. And allowing Maggie to work to broaden services to improve public health and work on the core standards as determined by the Governor's Public Health Commission. During the time that the governor and their group was studying the shortfalls of public health in Indiana, they had listening sessions. And the listening session for this area was in Seymour. And myself and Tammy and Selena Shupp of Hoosier Uplands attended that listening session to express our concerns for the high rate of tobacco use in Washington County, along with higher than the state rate for lung cancer deaths and higher than the state rate for heart disease. So So anyway, we were glad to be part of that process, and we look forward to working with Maggie to continue to address the high prevalence of smoking for the county, which is at 30%. The state is around 20%. The nation is at 15%. So we're double the national rate. So we want to continue to work on that. And then potentially it would be nice to collaborate and develop further partnerships to address vaping in the schools. So in your packet is a thank you letter, and then just some information on the state of public health in Indiana and Health First Indiana. So the Washington County data on lung cancer, cardiovascular, asthma, smoking during pregnancy, and then some other information. And then I'll also along with some point of sale, how the tobacco industry markets their products in Washington County. And the other thing you have is a poster for vaping and prevention services. And if you know any workplaces that could post that, that would be wonderful. I'll leave this point of sale information on this desk, and I don't know if anybody has anything else to add. Maggie actually has an update.
Did you guys receive my email I sent out yesterday?
Yes, we did.
Did you? Okay. So I sent out the email stating that 86 out of 92 counties opted in. I mentioned how there was potential money from the 6 that didn't take it, that it would get divided into the 86. We found out that we'll be receiving an additional $11,655 to redo the budget. So right now I'm working on redoing the budget, and I'll give it to Michelle down at the auditor's office and submit it to the state and see what gets approved of on doing that. But yes, we got additional funding on top of it. So we went from $306,479 to $318,134.
Every little bit helps.
It does. That actually will help out quite a bit, because what we're looking at doing is with the schools is providing EpiPens, so that we can put some of that money towards giving it to the schools, and we would be the ones buying it, but they can have EpiPens for the students in case of an allergic reaction. So we will be helping the schools with that.
Appreciate all your work.
It's been a lot. It's been good.
So thank you for opting in, and it's been a slow process. I think a lot of the counties started out, having reservations and discussion about it, but obviously it's become very popular, and almost all of the counties have opted in. So if you have any questions about tobacco prevention and cessation, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is on the letter. I'm happy to do any type of presentations, adjusting my time accordingly on tobacco use in the county and ways to support reducing the adult prevalence. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much.
Appreciate all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Yep, thank you.
Is anybody from Hardinsburg here? Come forward, please.
I don't know if
You want to come forward with her? Give her moral support. You don't look like you're doing so good.
I'm doing fine. I have a cord. It's holding. I have it removed and done it big. And if you don't want me using this arm, the only way to keep me from using it is to do this. And I'm ready to get over with.
What's your name?
Pam Lockhart.
Pam?
Yeah, Pam Lockhart.
Mark?
Lockhart.
Lockhart?
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
with Hardinsburg Senior Citizens, and I know y'all can't do a lot of talking under, circumstances, but I have.
Do me a favor,
pull your mic right over to you. I got everybody in here that don't talk loud this morning.
I have, just have some additional paperwork that I think y'all need to see
Okay?
on the seniors under the circumstances, and I have a list of our new officers that we have just voted in last couple months ago, I guess. And that's about all I got to say, because like I said, I know y'all can't do a whole lot right now.
Do you have the paperwork with you? Could I make a copy of it?
You can keep it. This is all.
Keep it?
Keep it. It's all. The main thing that you need to read is right there.
Okay.
On the other side, there's the which side it says. I don't like to find copies. That one.
Everything else going all right?
Yep. Yeah, we're still maintaining everything, doing all right.
Good.
Roof's not leaking?
No,
Good.
it better not, it's metal. They put that on years ago. I don't know when they put it on, I wasn't involved in. It does need some work, I'll tell you that, but I'm not putting no more money into it right now. It needs paint on the inside, but I can hold it.
What's your primary source of funding to keep the building up?
We have breakfast the first Saturday of every month, and then 3 or 4 months out of the year, we have dinners, like in October, we'll have a turkey supper. Then we're also going to have one Thanksgiving Day for whoever can come that needs to eat. All free will offer. We had a few last year that could not pay, and they did whatever they wanted. Basically, that's about it.
Okay.
You do serve a mighty fine breakfast.
Well, thank you. It's growing.
I've been there.
We had 40-some people last 2 months, so it's growing bigger.
Yeah. We appreciate you bringing this in.
You're welcome. So we got to you sooner, but forgot about it until we got digging again.
We appreciate all you do.
Thank you. We are hoping to do more things down there. Just Hardinsburg does not support us at all in anything, never have. Most of our breakfast people's out of Harrison County, French Lit, English. I mean, a few from Hardinsburg. We have a lot of out-of-towners.
I hear it advertised on the radio station.
Yes. We're losing one of our advertisements, the paper.
Well, I hate to see that go.
I know, he likes it. I heard through the grapevine, and one of our friends came up yesterday, and she said, yeah, they told him it was true, they were going to shut down and get 2 more papers, and that's it.
They provided a good service for a lot of years.
Well, we don't get Clarion anymore, because only Harrison County people pick it at the post office. We don't get it shipped to us no more. Can't even get us a prescription to it. I've offered to pay to have it sent to them, and they won't do it. And we advertise through them in the radio, and that's word of mouth.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and bringing this. And we'll move to the next step.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Be safe.
Thank you. Good.
I just have a quick road update for you. Right now, Bridge 207 on Dutch Creek Road, they've got the walls poured, getting ready to start on the deck, hopefully have that opened up in a couple weeks. We're currently paving on Lee Sailor Road, and taking advantage of the good weather, we're pressure washing bridges and painting guardrails. And that's all I've got for you, just a little update.
That's it?
Yep.
You got salt stored up?
Yep. Got our state contract. The building's full, got our state contract all up to date to where when it comes time, we can start ordering through the state. And then that Indiana salt supply, sometimes when you go through the NDOT process, you get on the back burner due to the state getting, priority, I'll say. So we have a backup plan. If we can't get our state salt, we have a way to get it when we really need it if we have to. It's a little bit higher, but it's well worth it.
How, what prices in blacktop, how they running this year?
It's all just stayed level, $75 a ton on asphalt. It's pretty well just leveled out, and that's where it's landed. Hopefully it'll go down next year, but realistically, nobody thinks it will.
Okay.
And in effect, you have X amount of dollars, so the higher the blacktop is, just the less miles you do. No way around it.
Well, we appreciate all your work.
No problem.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Zach? Got anything?
Yeah.
Bring a check?
Yep. No check. We just crossed 9-1.
Saw the Humana is being terminated and Anthem is started. But the 9-1, everybody should have gotten their cards. Those were all mailed out pretty early. The follow-up right now is just getting the deductibles and out-of-pocket. Somebody's met those, then getting the new. I had an 8-1 report ran from Humana, I gave that to Anthem, and then I'm getting ready to request another one to just have another round, just make sure everybody's taken care of. There might be a few here and there that we might, more hands-on. So if you hear of anybody, just send them our way, and we'll get that taken care of.
So you're saying everything's going okay?
As far as I know.
Kyra, are you saying everything's going okay? Yeah. Okay, so we got 2 okays.
All right.
Go ahead.
Sounds good. And one thing that I thought about doing, just I don't know how it would be sent out, but just a follow-up letter out to the employees of the county, just addressing those items, the deductible and out-of-pocket maximums, and how if you run into that, to contact us and we'll get it handled. And just some of the extra benefits like the little wellness program where there's up to $200 available, just to give them a little bit of a heads up, a reminder that that's there for them. So, and then telehealth, if they're on the $1,000 deductible plan, there's the option to just use your phone and do the simple prescriptions for poison ivy or strep throat, those kind of items at $0 for the 1,000 deductible plan, and then it's $49 for the $3,000 plan. So that's other options as well for the employees, so they don't have to go to a doctor's office. That's about all I got though.
Keep up the good work.
Try to keep on saving money.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zach.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
We have an ordinance that just kind of explains how bereavement time will be handled for EMS. It's stating that a 12-hour, they work a 24-hour shift, their day equals out to 12 hours, so they will accrue time at 12 hours. For bereavement, they get a maximum of 36 hours. So it's just basically spelling out what bereavement time is for that time.
So we need to pass the ordinance
Next time.
next time.
Was there any discussion, any other discussion other than what Kyle's already mentioned?
Becky,
Yes,
do you have any information on your paper closing?
I do,
Would you come forward and tell us about it?
I was hoping to share it after the meeting. Oh, well. Unusual circumstances.
I just heard about this yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
You too?
Yes.
Boy.
been a busy while. You can come up with me.
Yes, come up.
He's gonna leave me up here by myself. So.
We're on the
First time I've seen that one.
Yep. So my understanding is the last print edition of the Salem Democrat will come out on Tuesday. The last print edition of the Leader will come out on next Thursday, and then they'll go to exclusively online. The newspaper isn't completely going away, it's just eliminating its print edition, which leaves you in a situation with your legal ads. Now that's where Kurt Covenor, owner and publisher of the Crothersville Times, comes into it. He's my significant other. And he also currently covers, even though it's the Crothersville Times, he covers Jackson County and is the paper of record in Scott County following the end of Green Banner Publications. And he also has subscribers in Washington County, as I understand it. So we've got information for you today, and we plan to make the rounds in the building and go to the city as well to let them know they can advertise their legals with him. So you do have another place where you can advertise.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I mean, to be illegal, what do we do there?
And as I understand it, with the Leader and Democrat, you were required to advertise in each of the papers. His newspaper comes out once a week on Wednesday. Legal deadlines are at noon on Friday, and you'll only have to advertise once. And his rates are lower than some other newspapers. In a good way.
She didn't say that. She didn't say that.
You're cost effective. So yes, we do have information to hand to you.
So when we subscribe to the Salem Leader, then at that point, do we have to subscribe to you? How's it work?
Certainly, I'm interested in getting new subscribers in Washington County. We have some, primarily would be on Valonia routes in Washington County and Scottsburg routes over in Gibson Township. We have probably 50 total subscribers here in Washington County. I've been doing this for 44 years. My claim to fame seems to be I cover court news in Jackson and Scott counties. We started off in 1980 as the Crothersville Times, focusing on Crothersville news. I then expanded the court news into Scott County because there's people from Jackson County that get crossways with the law in Scott, and people in Scott County get their info heat up in Jackson County. People want to know that kind of news. I started also covering bankruptcies filed in Jackson and Scott counties.
And you provided bankruptcies to Salem Leader and Democrat.
Right.
So he's had a working partnership with the Salem paper.
I found out, I used to be printed, Times used to be printed at Salem until they shut down their print plant. Then I went to Green Banner to be printed, and then they shut down their print plant.
That's where I've seen you.
And then I went to Bedford to be printed, and then they shut down their print. I'm a bad luck center.
I was going to say,
you don't want to print me, I don't.
You're kind of bad luck.
I think so. Currently, I'm being printed at Jeffersonville. Unfortunately, it's about the only place in southern Indiana that a web press operates. State law.
Does Corden not have?
No. The Corrigan newspaper was purchased by Paxton in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Who prints the Clarion? Who prints the Clarion?
Clarion, that was owned by O'Bannon, right? That's in Crawford County?
Yeah.
Paxton, Owensboro. And that's just sort of the state of the newspaper business. I've been a one-man newspaper for 44 years, and I somewhat joke that that's the business model every other newspaper aspires to be, one man and he does it all. But a lot of publishers don't want to work that hard. 2018, in May of 2018, when the Green Banner shut down, I was being printed there. I had to make the adjustment to be printed, going over to Bedford to be printed. And I got a phone call from the Scott County Circuit Court Judge's secretary. Said the judge would like to see you in his office at 9 o'clock Friday morning. Gentlemen, that'll tighten your sphincter muscle up, let me tell you. When I got there was a circuit court judge, superior court judge, and the county attorney, and I'm trying to think, what have I done? They said that we're losing our local newspaper, the Scott County Journal and Chronicle, and we need a place to put our legal notices, and we're going to put them with the Crothersville Times if that's okay. Okay, I'm happy to help you out. We've been doing that in Scott County since June of 2018. Not to have the appearance of being a vulture or a buzzard. Your county is about to begin advertising delinquent tax sales, isn't it? I've worked with SRI and fully expected my phone to buzz, want to know if the first Jackson County and the third Scott County tax sales is in this week's paper. So my purpose in coming down here is to offer some continuity, try to be seamless in all this transaction, because you do have an obligation to publish in a print version your ordinances, the private attorney, the attorneys with their estates and all like that. And I've been doing all that. So I'm here to offer whatever I can do to help you in this transition time. It's bad when something in a community, as long established as the leader and Democrat are, because of finances, but I think Nancy's got some health things going on that perhaps the stress of business is exacerbating. So I've got some copies of what we do, our product. I've got a letter explaining the history of the Crothersville Times. Just would be happy to be able to help you out. And I would anticipate that once word gets out that we're covering Washington County, our subscriber numbers will increase down here. This lady has been covering commissioners, council, city of Salem. She covers government. I would expect that her work that you would see online would also miraculously appear in the Crothersville Times. So
we've not negotiated that rate yet.
So, if I may, are you planning on, is the goal to eventually have a Washington County version of the Crothersville Times? Because, a lot of times say if we get the Crothersville Times paper, there's gonna be a lot of information in there that, quite honestly, people in Washington County don't care about, because they don't know, some people don't know anybody over there, maybe a few people, but is that your intention, maybe, hopefully, if things work out, to have your own version of a Washington County paper? Maybe.
I'm not a young man.
But you look healthy, I saw you jump over that rail.
I'm feeling good now.
Okay.
February 2022, I had a heart attack, had bypass surgery. My exit interview, my heart surgeon said, well, you're not overweight, you don't smoke, you're good for another 20, 25 years. And 95 is probably about enough. Because of the state of newspapers, because, I'm the responsible party. When things go wrong, I'm responsible. I've tried to figure out how do we're not just a Crothersville newspaper, it's just by name, and people get distracted by that because my largest communities that subscribe to the Crothersville Times, Scottsburg and Seymour. In the book of Matthew, it says a prophet is without honor in his own country. Jesus said that. And I can tell you it's true in Crothersville, Indiana. Fewer people subscribe to the local paper, but I pick up subscribers far away, in Scottsburg and Seymour. So I've toyed with what do I call what we now call the Crothersville Times, since it's focused on Jackson and Scott County, and I haven't been able to come up with a name. I thought about calling it the Scott Jackson Times, but there's a guy from Crothersville, Scott Jackson, who's in prison, so I thought that wouldn't be a good idea. But thinking on that just yesterday, perhaps the Tri-County Times. And I'll show you, I've got copies of the newspaper for all of you. On our flag, we have pictures of Jackson and Scott counties, the image. It would be easy for me to add Washington County and eliminate the Crothersville name and just put Tri-County Times. I'm afraid in my advanced years, my gray hair and Medicare time, that's about the best I can offer you at this particular moment.
Fair enough. Thank you.
And I might want to clarify, given what the Hardinsburg couple set up here, the Salem Leader and Democrat will continue to exist. They just won't have a print edition. So you may encounter people who are confused about that. And I know not having a physical paper is hard, but we'll have the online presence.
Do you know, is a electronic version legal?
You can't run legals, and it has to be in a print publication.
It has to be printed. It does need to be printed. We do put all of our legal notices on our website, which it is another struggle because the website's CrothersvilleTimes.com, and I really don't want to go to that.
Yeah.
We put them online. We also send all of our legal notices up to Hoosier State Press, and they put it on the Indiana Public Notice. But no, just putting stuff online and calling it legal, generally is frowned upon.
Okay.
I'll be happy to answer any other questions for you.
So Becky, you're still going to have to get out and round up the news.
Yes.
I mean, for your electronic version.
Yes. So you will continue to see me.
good thing.
We never not wanted to see it. We just sometimes don't disagree, or we disagree with some of the things you've said.
Excuse me. I do that too.
That's
These are the past 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Thank you.
You might want to contact Stacy Redmond up in Jackson County, or Jennifer Hamilton in Scott County. Perhaps they could help. And again, the big concern is the tax sale coming up, because that has to run 3 times, and if they shut down next week, I don't know what kind of pickle that puts you in. So, usually, and I think that's supposed to start probably publishing next week, so we may need to get in touch with SRI and again, that's the main concern right now is continuity and making things least problematic for them.
So why does everybody cut their funnies out?
I'm sorry?
Why does everybody cut their funnies out?
You gotta pay for them funnies. Here, let me show you the funniest part. There you go. There's the most funniest part of the paper. It's my column.
Okay. We appreciate you coming in, Becky.
Okay.
And we thank you for your work.
Well, if you have any questions, you have
I just made
my
some
numbers.
words out of your mustache you need.
Yes, you did. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Well, hope so, and I consider it my job to make your job as easy as possible when it comes to doing licenses now. Should, after the meeting, should I stop by, we talk more?
Let me get a hold of SRI and see where we're at and what we need to do. Get switched over.
Do you deal with Tyler at SRI?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that's who I deal with the Scott and Jackson County
Okay.
stuff, so,
All right, I'll get a hold of him.
very fine. I look forward to it.
Thank you, folks, for all you
Let
do.
me really be professional here. You need a business card.
I wonder if they had one.
Last name is Governor, like governor.
You're local from that area, aren't you? There's several governors up there.
My family ran the funeral home in Crothersville for over 105 years.
Okay.
This is Dustin Howard, he's the attorney, so he needs.
Oh, Dustin, you definitely need this. Let me get you some other, thank you, Secretary. And I may need to talk with you on, the attorney private legals. We've done some business with some Salem attorneys as it applies to the estates they work in Scott County. Reaching out to them, it's going to be a bit of a kerfuffle, trying to keep things smooth, but, once they figure out, we can just email the stuff for me. What I historically have done is in delivering proofs of publication and invoice, I like to do that in person. Helps maintain a confirming relationship. And I deal with the post office every week. I don't trust the post office. If I got something in the mail in Jackson County to come to Salem, it's got to go to Columbus, to Louisville, back up. I can write down here a lot easier, folks. Well, actually, I've got someone who's down here. You got connections.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
much appreciated.
Appreciate it.
Todd, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Need a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Rich made a motion, Todd? Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Meeting's over?
Meeting's over.
Okay. I'm Kurt, who the hell are you?
Bill.
Bill?
Bill Martin.